Welcome to Business Beyond Borders, the go-to podcast for CPA firms seeking transformative insights. I'm your host, Laurence Whittam, and with each episode we'll uncover key insights, best practices, and invaluable resources tailored for CPAs. From trending strategies to diving deep into outsourcing and offshoring, our experts will help in all areas of your business.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Business Beyond Borders. So I have an episode here today with Mitsu and Khanjan from Accseed, and we're all in the midst of a lot of travel, right? So we're in the middle of May. We've all finished with the tax season. We wanted to do a bit of a recording to share a little bit about what went well, what didn't go so well during the season, right? Not necessarily from Accseed specific side, but these are sort of common things that go on when it comes to anybody working with outsourcing firms, whether it's in India or the Philippines or anywhere in the world, right? And also working with remote talent, right? And we have a lot of these challenges if it's just a team in a different office, right? In a different state, for example. So we see a lot more firms now that are growing global teams. We see a lot more firms that are growing remote teams. And a lot of the challenges are very similar, right? And tax season is one of those times where we generally will see where we've done either a not so good job when it comes to our process development or the changes that have gone on throughout the year, because it's a stress test, right? We've got a lot of work to do in a very short period of time. And we want to make sure we're taking on new clients as well as servicing our current clients, right? And we still see gaps in how everything is being done. So Mitsu, Khanjan, thank you for joining today. It's great to have you here. And I would love for you guys to just give a bit of a background about yourselves and Accseed, how you guys started and what you do for the profession.
Thank you, Laurence, for the quick introduction. Thank you for having us here. Mitsu, you want to go first and introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Laurence, for inviting us, and it's great connecting here. Yes, I am Mitsu. I'm the managing partner at Accseed. Accseed is around 4 years old firm. We started 4 years back. We provide outsourcing services to the US CPAs and EAs. We provide accounting, taxes, and assurance services. And to tell you a little bit about myself, I'm a chartered accountant from India and a CPA, but not a licensed CPA from the USA. I have 20 plus years of experience in the US accounting and taxation industry. I was working with one of the top firms in South Florida before I formed Accseed.
And then you said, whereabouts in India? So I like to dig into the details a little bit. So whereabouts in India are you?
We are located in Ahmedabad. The state is Gujarat. It is the westmost state of India.
Perfect. And lots of talent, lots of BPOs in the Ahmedabad area, right?
Yeah,
So lots of accounting.
recently, lot of them. Industry is growing, is mushrooming, growing a lot in my city lately. Yes, I would say last 5 years, it's been thriving.
Perfect. And I can speak from experience. Again, first time going to Ahmedabad was in 2014, I think it was, and every single year that I went back, year after year, the amount of buildings that got built within a year, it was like one year there's a street that goes towards one of the major highways there that's just from the outskirts, and it was initially just all wedding venue places, and meaning just little stand-ups and again a few gates, and then it would turn into like just open space, because it was then where all the wedding venues would pop up with the tents and everything, and then like within a year, half of them gone. Now it's like complete complexes, like apartment buildings, office buildings. Again, facility, like different schools were popping up, academies were popping up from the sports side of things. But literally every year, like it would be crazy how quickly they would build. So I know it's developed immensely in the past sort of, again, 10 years.
No, I would say if you say 10 years, in the last 2 or 3 years, it's like crazy development, because I don't know if you're aware, because 2030 we have the Commonwealth Games, and 2036 is the Olympics, and the Ahmedabad and the joining city Gandhinagar is a venue for that. They are revamping, I would say, the whole city.
Cool.
So cool. if you come here annually here now in Ahmedabad, it's like totally different.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. So yeah, go on, Khanjan.
Yeah, if you were saying that there are many buildings which are getting constructed in Ahmedabad, a tall skyscraper. So if you looking at the outsourcing firms and the global capability centers which are getting opened here in Ahmedabad, if you go one building, you will find one or another either outsourcing firm or global capability center. So Ahmedabad is booming very fast. And if I consider it at the India level, I would rate Ahmedabad as the topmost growing cities when it comes to outsourcing due to
Yes.
its infrastructure, uninterrupted power supply, and plus the talent pool which Gujarat specifically have is huge and it's growing day by day. More and more people are moving to the US. So once you see people who are completing chartered accountant, they are not going in the traditional India practice. And if you see the ratio, more and more people are joining USA outsourcing. So yeah, it's booming. It's
Very
booming at
nice.
great pace.
Yeah, and again, building to building, I'm sure you'll find either a firm or a BPO that's focused especially in the accounting space, right? There's just accountants all over. So now, what about tax season, right? So let's talk tax season. We wrapped up. We've had a bit of time to decompress, right, and look back on what happened. So what went well for Accseed, but also for the firms that Accseed was working for, right? What were some of those big things that were like, this went really well, right? Tell us some of those pieces.
The tax season was, I would say, I think, pretty much normal. But the main thing, the main crucial thing around here is the staffing thing. But yeah, we could manage. What went well was everything was as planned. I would say we got new clients also, new CPAs to, join Exceed. But the crucial thing was, I mean, there are a lot of scope of improvement, of course, on both the sides. I would say the main scope of improvement is the process, and getting the information on timely manner. Of course, tax season is a very crucial fact. Tax season is a very crucial factor time wise, and that is what we also experienced, that getting information timely was a big factor.
So, and when we say getting information timely, right? So during the tax season, and this is one of those common problems that I think a lot of firms face,
Very
right?
common, very common.
Is that we have the clients as well, right? Meaning our end clients, our individuals we're working with, our businesses during the extension, or sorry, during the deadline for business returns as well, and we have to. Again, we're following up as the firm and we're saying, hey, can you get us this information? We need this information by a certain time, otherwise we may not be able to complete your return, right? So, but everything comes in piecemeal as well, right? So a lot of things come in. So what do you advise the firms that you're working with to do? Do you ask them to wait until they have the majority of the information before they bring it to your team? Do you say, no, just give us access, right? We'll help with communicating. We'll make sure that we're making a clear list, right? What's the best methodology for Accseed and the client and the firms when you're doing that during the season?
We always tell clients to give, wait till they have at least 80% of the information, because that it makes it more efficient time wise and performance wise, accuracy wise too. Because when we have the information in pieces, it's like every time we have a piece of information, we go in there, we put information, but then every time we have to check, because one input is like, it changes everything. It affects a lot of places, a lot of outputs, and a lot of credits, a lot of numbers in the return. So we do advise, like, at least 80% of the information should be in before they give us, give the task to us. It's very efficient, time wise and accuracy wise too.
And then from that perspective too, I guess, what model do you typically work on during the season? Is it like a per return model where you're charging? Is it an hourly model? Do you generally just have dedicated team members that are working for these firms? Is it a mix of everything? Like because I would assume that would change a little bit based on that model too.
It's a little bit of a mixture of everything. Yeah, we operate all models as per the requirement, as per the conveniency. Yes, we operate all models, like for our part-time, full-time, personal, everything, all models.
So we don't have a size fit for all model. We do custom according to what CPA firms are looking for. We just don't want that. We always believe that you should start small and take it from there, because the firms which are outsourcing for first time, they might be reluctant to go in one shot. So they might start slow, and once they have trust in the provider, they would gradually increase the work, which we generally sees that kind of pattern, that a client might have started with an hourly model or per written model, and he evaluates the work for first tax season, and in next tax season if he come with us and say, I want 2 or 3 persons exclusively working for my firm. So we that always happens.
And then what about during the season that maybe, and again, I know we've talked a little bit already about that process side of things that firms can improve upon. Was there any outlying aspects that went on that you were like, okay, this didn't go well during the season, right? It could be with a specific firm. Don't name the firm. It's not about calling out a firm, right? But it's like, what was something that like they could have made a big difference if they'd have either maybe started working on the process a little bit earlier, doing something else that maybe caused a bit more disruption than it really needed to be? Was there anything that was there that you could give, right, as advice to going forward for a lot of these firms, that if you do this first, you're not going to have this type of problem come up in the middle of the season?
One, the most foremost or most important was system. It was a new setup, and then the system did not go well. And we had a lot of problems, but still we had to turn around the work. So, if that is, I mean, actually, we always, advise the new CPAs, like, not to start in the middle of or right at the peak tax season or right before the tax season. We always advise to start a little early. So, that gives us time to get set to the environment, expectations, process, everything. So by the time the tax season starts, we are up and running, fully functioning. But when that doesn't happen, and then when we have glitches in the system, mostly it's like the IT setup, the system is slow, and then something comes up, and then the software doesn't support the system. We have to upgrade the system. By then the CP has to buy a new laptop. Everything happens. But yeah, all this happened with a couple clients. But that is what I would always suggest, that don't wait to the last minute to start working. Start little early, and that's why we have time for everything to set up and running smoothly before the tax season actually hops in full-fledged.
So I would say, and again, less of the software necessarily. Like, it's not like the firm was implementing a new software. It was just more like the actual setup maybe was done a little bit too late. So like the users weren't tested. So now, as it was the first time working with you guys remotely, it wasn't going as efficiently when it came to like, there was problems accessing certain software. There may have been like just slowdowns in going through the documents and those types of aspects.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay, great. So, and again, big thing is test it early. Right. I mean, get the users on board, well before the season, right? They don't need to necessarily be doing too much in that sense, right? But it's like test, even if it's, let's say you're getting dedicated people, get the access a few weeks before so that that it works. You know that it's not going to have a bunch of downtime and delays and these types of aspects. Test the access to the different softwares, right? And do it early. Right at the end, plan it out.
And probably we also advise that even if they like give us access to the software, is like software is always not a problem, but the data actually, it always helps the person who is assigned, if like that person has some time to go and check out the client that are going to be assigned, to check out the work papers, what is expected of them, because every client has a different requirement. Every CPA has a different separate clients, different clients. They are not the same. So, the person assigned has some time to, even assess the individual clients, individual tasks that are going to be assigned. It always helps.
Completely agree. And what about, so now we go towards tax season's over, right? Everybody's had a chance to have a break, a breather, right? We now, again, there's a bunch of events going on and things like that. We're learning from these events, but we're about a month out. What should firms do now when it comes to reflecting on the tax season in order to have a better season next year, right? Is it, again, tell us what you feel is some of the best practices when it comes to looking back at what we've just done from a seasonal perspective towards developing so that we have a more effective experience the next year or throughout the rest of the year when we're working with global teams?
I would say, assess the requirement as early as possible, because every firm knows how much clients they have, what are they gonna like outsource, how much preparers, how many hours of operation they have. They can always the people tell me that they cannot assess the requirement, but I do not agree, because at the least of all, prior year hours, prior year requirement is always available. And then you at your firm, how many new clients you got. So it is always, you can always come to an estimated number of hours. So assess your requirement early and plan early, and hire people early, outsource early. So as I mentioned, wait till the last minute and it's a disaster, and it's like everything goes into chaos.
So one of the big things there is, again, you've just done the work in the season, right? So looking
Yes.
over which returns were assigned, which we got a sign off for from the client under 7216, which were the ones that got prepared by Accseed or whoever your team member is globally. They should automatically be on that list for the next year, as an example. Right? We know
Right.
exactly how long they've taken for those returns, or we should, right? So we should look at that. How does that compare to our even in-house team or prior years of doing it? Are there improvements there? But also, like, use that as a benchmark for next year.
Yes.
How much more do we want to do now? Right. And really, like, coordinate with Accseed, you're saying, to make sure that everybody's on the same page, because then we can really assess as to how early they should start then going into the following season.
Yes.
Right.
I would even say not next year, but even the extension season, because we are in the middle of May. We still have time, at least two to 2.5 months of time before we actually kick into the extension season. So that there's enough time even to extend the requirements for the extension season also. Because extension season is very crucial. The March, April, we can end up extending the task, but then September, October is very crucial, because then things has to get done. There's no option of extending. So this is more crucial. So I would advise people should be more, or CPAs should be more aware, and they should be like planning ahead of time for the extension season. It's much more crucial than the March, April season, I would say.
Also, I feel that this is the time that outsourcing firms should send a follow-up request for the returns which are pending. So let's say there are a couple of 2 or 3 points for which the whole return is pending. So they should follow up with the clients, and CPA in further they should follow up with their clients, because how we work in this non-busy season will ultimately decide the load, how our extended season would go. So uh, we should always try to move the work rather than just waiting for the next busy season to kick in and having all things done. So by doing that, we would be able to deliver quality returns to the client, because we would have time to look each and everything's in detail, rather than having that return done in the hush during the tax season, because we do have around couple of returns to do and deadline is approaching. So we that won't hamper quality. So we should start working right away once busy season is done and we have good amount of, let's say, couple of weeks or 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks rest, and we should be working on this.
I mean, that's a couple of great points. I mean, number one, we've got the extension season coming up, right? So
Right.
Yes.
again, use that time. Use that when it's not as busy in a lot of cases, right, as necessarily the tax season, right, to start that training, right, making sure that you are giving some work to the global team in that sense as well, and collaborating, so that, again, it lightens everybody's load and it allows you to spend more time on the clients. But vice versa, Khanjan, great point in terms of, again, as a firm, don't wait until September to start reaching out to your clients to start getting that work back in again. Right. I mean, start
Right.
the outreach now, right? When it's a bit quieter through the summer months. It's not that you can't still do now summer Fridays, right? And you can't, there's going to be more downtime in the summer in a lot of cases because of that workload, but people will still be responsive. And if you're able to say, guys, listen, we can spend more time on your return if you send it earlier, right? It means that September, October doesn't necessarily become a busy season for you, right? It's just normal, right? In that sense, too,
Right.
if you can get a lot more of your clients. So make a bit more effort, right, to get more work in, I think is what you're saying from the current clients, right? With missing info and stuff. Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
yes. With
Very
current
cool.
clients, what Khanjan is mentioning is correct, and what I'm mentioning is like, starting to outsource altogether, fresh.
Very cool.
or
And-
changing your service provider. So that is the perfect time. It's perfect time for both to middle of May is a perfect time to reevaluate and assess both of that, like, existing clients. Plus, if you are like planning to outsource or changing your service providers, it's a perfect time to evaluate your requirements and move on with your future requirements. And for the existing task, as Khanjan said, be proactive and, start getting information and working on the existing or tasks. So, we don't have to wait to the last minute for that.
Perfect. And then what about, so now let's look at what's happening in the profession. I think one of the big things that I'm seeing, and the talk of the town, is obviously AI, right? The past year has been AI conversations in every conference, right? It's how much are we utilizing it, right? How much is it going to affect the profession as a whole, right? But also, like, now looking at it is, and again, the conversation comes up quite often, is like, well, do I invest in my global team now? I feel like I'm late to the game when it comes to building a global presence, right? And so, do I just invest in AI? Right. I have my own thoughts, but what are your thoughts when it comes to that? What are you guys doing with AI, automation, these types of aspects? What are you seeing? What are the conversations you're having with firms? Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so everyone here and everywhere I go is talking about the AI, and whatever place I am, whether it is wedding or whether it is birthday party, everyone is the same topic, that what will AI do? Will I be able to get my job, or I will be a jobless within a span of 1 year or 2 years? So I was saying that there is nothing like that could happen. What I believe, that AI, we can use it as a tool to complete our task more effectively, efficiently, rather than seeing it as a threat that it would take our job. Same with the typewriter. So when before there were typewriters before the computers, so everyone was saying that people using typewriters would be obsolete. Yeah, they went obsolete. Those who didn't adapt the PC, they did become obsolete. But those who adapted PC and started working on it, they are doing great. So AI won't replace the human factor in our business. It might help us on repetitive tasks, but when there comes human judgment, AI won't be that impactful. That's what we believe.
And then what about so now, has it affected you guys from a staffing perspective? Would you say, as of right now, like, do you feel that there are either different requirements firms are asking for, right? Or has it really not made much of an impact in the last sort of 4 years of what you were doing?
So to be frank, it has not made much impact as of now.
Yes, agree.
No major impact I foresee as of now. People are using AI, but not to that great extent, because those firms who have used AI in the past were getting errors, and they came back to us and said that we are not satisfied with the AI software, and they came back us to us. So hey, I need that preparer back, so I won't let them go. So this is the thing which we are seeing with the AI. Yeah, there would be development, there would be corrections in the AI model in the coming time, but as of now, I don't see it as a threat as people are forcing it or people are expecting. That's what we believe.
Very
Like,
cool.
for example, even if a work done by AI, but, it had to be checked by the preparer. You cannot 100% be like, depend on what was generated by AI. So it needed a human touch or a human eye after all, anyways, that is what we experienced.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the items, just to make sure that everybody, I guess, understands and sees, is that even with the development of AI automation, when it comes to like anything relating to the accounting side of things or the tax side of things, audit side of things, there are certain tasks that are going to be automated, right, at the end of the day. Now, what does that mean? That means that we actually need to teach people to be able to review at an earlier stage in their career. In a lot of cases, they will be able to handle more transactions, right? I mean, I can tell you, like, 12, 14 years ago, like, we would bill based on, again, we can do 60 transactions in QuickBooks in an hour. Then it became we can do 100 transactions in QuickBooks in an hour, right? And this is how we should quote on it based on it. Now, realistically, like you could do thousands, right, within an hour, but you still need to make sure that again they have to be you have to have set up a rule for it, right? There are going to be nuances to the rule that come up.
Right.
They have to be reviewed, right? So it still takes time to do that.
Yes.
But it's just the volume we're able to do is generally
Yes.
changes quite drastically, right? So, but I think I do agree with you guys in terms of I haven't seen too much of an impact. I've seen some firms with certain lines and services that have definitely been able to say like, yeah, we don't really need them for certain levels of data entry anymore, but it's actually made them think about like, how do we utilize the teams in a different way than just
Right.
that data entry? We need them to review that data, number one. We need them
Yes.
to now do the next step, right? Which I think in my eyes, it's like, it should have been happening all along, right? It shouldn't have been, I think there was a lot more firms just providing data entry or entry level type work offshore to their global team members when
Right.
they should have really been developing their team members just like developing their domestic team members in house and putting a career path in place in order so that they could do everything very similar to, and then that this problem of that middle management, upper management gap wouldn't be there as strong, right? So this is where that developing of talent needs to come in now more than ever.
Yes.
So, and then finally, maybe just to round out, I mean, just before we got started, you talked about one thing which resonated with me because we've done it many times, and which was you sent me a small gift for Diwali, right? Some candy and very very nice gesture from a cultural side of things. And again, I love to see it. I get a few of them as well, and again, it brings me back to being there in a lot of cases. But it got stuck in the mail, right, and it got lost, right? So, and there's a story behind that. So, and I think this is where I want everybody to learn from a very small lesson as well in terms of like, we've had clients send stuff globally. We've had vice versa sending stuff. And I think that's, hey, we can send over laptops. We can send over these things to set up our own team and we can do this. There are problems when that happens, even as small as sending some candy or some cultural gifts. I know we did it with a client and they sent over Virginia peanuts, right? It got stuck. And then we spent I don't even know how many hours we spent tracking down this package because they wanted to treat their new team members well with a welcome package, right? Which was the great way. We thought it was an awesome idea. It was not an awesome idea because then we spent hours and hours trying to track down these peanuts, right? So tell us a little bit about that story, what you were doing, what happened, right? And now what you're going to do in future, plus what you would recommend others to do.
Actually, what we planned was it was like, post Diwali, like because Diwali, as everyone knows, Diwali is a major festival in India. It's like a New Year, Indian New Year. So it's a tradition that, you gift everyone. Your gifting is like you do in Christmas, we do it in Diwali. So we thought as a good gesture, we would send all the contacts in the USA a gift. But then we wanted it to be authenticate from India. So instead of, finding a vendor in the United States, we just, build up a hamper here. And then we put those hampers in big boxes and then send it to shipped it to the USA. Well, the problem, everything was shipped. Everything landed in New York perfect. There was no problem there. But then after it landed to New York, then so the problem started, because the customs and this and that, and they opened the boxes, and then in between, some, I would say not some, Laurence, you're the lucky one. Only one hamper was lost, and that's yours. Out of 100 plus hampers we sent, only one was lost. Because all others, at least it reached my head office in Florida. And then from there, we shipped it, So this was the only hamper that it did not reach. It did reach New York from my tracking number, but then it never reached Florida.
Good.
So, well, for future, I would say, of course, I'm gonna look into the local vendors, domestic vendors, and in the United States, it's more efficient. I would say more cost effective, but still, I would really need that authentic or Indian touch. If I get that in the US, otherwise I would still prefer what I kept on doing because it was very unique. Because we had everything, custom made here. The boxes were custom made here. Everything was customized by us here.
Very nice. Yeah, and again, it's one of those unfortunate things where you would think it's as simple as just sending it and it's going to be there,
Exactly.
right? And where I bring it back to is there are a lot of nuances when it comes to, again, it's not as simple as setting up a global team yourself, right? Is the big thing, right? If you believe you can go and do it. Now, there are different methods and providers that you can go to, right? Obviously, Accseed, you're more of a traditional BPO, right? You do a bit of everything, right? You work with them as a partner to do it. You've got your infrastructure. You provide all the laptops. You do all that for the firms, right? You've got employers of record where, like, again, they'll just handle the compliance, but they're not going to help you find talent. They're not going to help you provide the laptops and these types of things. But if you're going that way to save a few dollars, you've got to understand you can't just send things across, right? It's generally you're going to have a lot more complications when it's one thing, a gift basket. It's another thing when it's a laptop. Right. And
But I would also like to mention, Lawrence, that, things were very simple till I think last year or this year. After the custom duty, was imposed, that's when it started getting more complicated.
You got all the tariff stuff now as well.
Yeah, the tariff custom duties were imposed.
Extra customs and
yes.
So and this is where, like, things are being everything's being narrowed down in terms of they're looking at a lot of things from a global perspective, right? When it comes to the country. So more now than ever, it's less simple than it was. Right. So I think this is where you need a trusted partner to do it. Right. There are different models. There are different ways that you can work with a provider. But it's always going to be valuable to be able to sort of like rely on somebody in that country wherever you're building a team.
And one thing I would like to mention, you were mentioning laptop, but like, just like how Accseed operates, we do not provide laptops at all. We provide, like, every person has a dual screen monitor, 24 inches to monitors, and everyone works in office. So we do not, even if, like, my client says that, they want to send a laptop, we deny them, because I said that's not how Accseed operates, because it is totally because of security reasons. We have utmost security in place, and everyone works strictly from office and off their own personal system.
Cool. Perfect. No, and really appreciate it. So it's and that's great. And that's some of the nuances as well, right? Is that some firms will have that where everybody has to work from the office. Some firms now, I see some going with hybrid. Some have laptops where, again, they can work from home, right? So again, that's a choice of, again, as to which provider you would go to as well in a lot of cases, right? It's figuring out what's best for your firm, right? What you guys want to do from a cultural perspective, right? And then you find the right partner, right? In order
and
to
I would say security is, like, for after 70 to 16 security, to the data security is a very major thing. And I think 100%. It is a major, we also take it very seriously. It's a major thing. And it's, I think, one of the big plus points or our strength that, we have utmost data security. Like, if laptop a person, the person can grab the laptop, go home, start working, and there's the data security factor is quite much affected. So we do not have that in place at all. There are no laptops. Only the owners we have laptop. So none of the personal, have access to any data or anything from home, because, they just come, log in on their PC, work, go home, go to sleep. That's it, because we do not allow. So, like, as I mentioned, after 7 to 16 data security, and even if, like, when I go and, to prospective client, I do meetings, the most concerning questions or the most concern that the CPAs and the EAs have is data security. So we also take it very seriously, and this is how we operate.
Yep. No, I would agree. I mean, data security is number one, right? It's always number one. Right? Yes. You need to make sure. So, but no, I really appreciate Mitsu, Khanjan. So we're at the hour. So I appreciate you guys joining me today. And everybody. Thank you again for joining us on Business Beyond Borders. I hope you found this episode insightful, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for the opportunity. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Business Beyond Borders. I'm Laurence Whittam, and it's been a pleasure bringing you impactful insights tailored for the modern CPA firm. Remember, the world of accounting is vast and ever evolving, and we're here to navigate it together. For more resources and episodes, don't forget to subscribe and reach out to our experts. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries of your business and explore the limitless possibilities beyond borders.